Every morning, before the world demands anything from you, your mind is already being shaped, not by events, not by people, but by the first thoughts you allow to enter. Most men wake up mentally defeated without realizing it. They check their phone, replay old worries, rush into the day, and call it normal. Stoic philosophy calls it something else: loss of self-command. The Stoics believe that the morning is not just the start of the day. It is the foundation of your mentality. Whatever controls your first moments will control your emotions, your focus, and your reactions for the next 16 hours. If your mornings are chaotic, your mind will be chaotic. If your mornings are disciplined, your mind becomes unshakable. If you often feel reactive, mentally tired, or unfocused before the day even begins, the problem is not your life, your job, or your circumstances. The problem is that your morning lacks structure, intention, and inner authority. You are letting the world enter your mind before you take command of it. In this video, you will learn 9 Stoic secrets designed to reset your mentality every morning. These are not motivational tricks or positive affirmations. These are mental disciplines practiced by Stoics to build calm, clarity, and control from the moment they wake up. Apply them consistently, and you will notice something powerful. The world stops controlling your mood, because you do. Now that you understand why mornings matter, it is time to slow the pace and look at how Stoic philosophy actually approaches the start of the day. The Stoics were not interested in hype or emotional intensity. They were interested in preparation. They believed the morning was a quiet workshop where the mind was shaped before being tested. This was not about feeling powerful. It was about becoming stable. Stoic training begins with a simple assumption. The mind wakes up unguarded. Not weak, but unguarded. Thoughts arrive quickly, habits activate automatically, and old emotional patterns try to resume control. If nothing interrupts this process, the day unfolds on autopilot. The Stoics considered this dangerous because an unexamined morning leads to an unexamined day. The first Stoic discipline of the morning is conscious awareness. Not reflection, not planning, just awareness. The ability to notice what the mind is doing without immediately participating. This small pause creates distance. Distance creates choice. Without it, emotions lead and reason follows too late. Most people believe they lose control during stressful moments. The Stoics knew control is lost much earlier, usually within minutes of waking. Once emotional momentum builds, it becomes harder to redirect. This is why the Stoics emphasized early mental posture rather than later correction. Prevention was always stronger than repair. The second discipline is acceptance of reality as it is, not as preferred. Stoics began their day by reminding themselves that difficulty, delay, disrespect, and inconvenience were likely. This was not pessimism, it was realism. By anticipating friction, they reduced emotional shock. When resistance disappears, resilience appears. This practice trains emotional immunity. When you expect ease, every obstacle feels like injustice. When you expect resistance, obstacles feel normal. The Stoics did not demand smooth days. They trained for uneven ones. This mindset stabilizes emotion before it is challenged. The third discipline is internal prioritization. Stoics separated what mattered from what merely demanded attention. They understood that urgency is not importance. Many things will ask for your time today. Few deserve your concern. By clarifying this early, they conserved mental energy for what truly required effort. This is where most modern minds collapse. Everything feels equally urgent. Every message feels necessary. Every opinion feels personal. Stoicism corrects this distortion. It teaches selective seriousness. Care deeply about what aligns with your values. Treat the rest as background noise. The fourth discipline is intentional restraint. Stoics did not rush into activity. They slowed down their initial movements, speech, and decisions. Speed amplifies error. Calm multiplies precision. By beginning the day deliberately, they reduced impulsive reactions later. This restraint was physical and mental. Simple actions performed slowly reinforced inner order. When the body moves calmly, the mind follows. This is not symbolic. It is neurological conditioning repeated daily. The fifth discipline is identity reinforcement. Stoics reminded themselves who they were trying to become, not what they were trying to achieve. Identity outlasts outcomes. When circumstances change, identity remains. This prevented emotional collapse when plans failed or progress slowed. They asked a simple question: what kind of person should I be today, regardless of results? This framed the entire day as character training rather than outcome chasing. Pressure decreased. Focus increased. These disciplines were not practiced perfectly. They were practiced consistently. Stoics accepted imperfection but rejected unconsciousness. Awareness, acceptance, prioritization, restraint, and identity formed the foundation. Without this base, no technique works long-term. Session 1 establishes the ground. Without stable ground, later disciplines collapse. In the next session, we will examine how Stoics dealt with emotional triggers before they appeared, and how they trained their mind to remain steady when provoked. This is where control stops being theoretical and becomes practical under pressure. Once this mental foundation is in place, the Stoic focus shifts from structure to emotional readiness. The Stoics understood something most people miss. Emotions rarely explode out of nowhere. They build quietly, gaining momentum long before we notice them. By the time anger, anxiety, or frustration feels overwhelming, control has already been lost. That is why Stoics trained the mind to anticipate emotional pressure before it arrived. Each morning, they mentally acknowledged that difficulty was likely. Delays, resistance, disrespect, and uncertainty were not exceptions, but normal features of life. This was not done to create fear, but to eliminate surprise. Emotional reactions thrive on surprise. When the mind expects smoothness and encounters friction, it panics. When the mind expects resistance, it remains steady. Calm is not the absence of difficulty. Calm is familiarity with difficulty. This anticipation created emotional immunity. Instead of reacting emotionally when something went wrong, the Stoic mind recognized the situation as expected. Recognition reduces intensity. Intensity reduction preserves control. Over time, this practice rewired emotional responses, making calm the default rather than the exception. Alongside emotional anticipation came strict control of attention. Stoics were ruthless with their focus. They understood that attention is energy, and energy wasted early weakens the entire day. They consciously decided what deserved mental engagement and what did not. Noise, gossip, speculation, and trivial concerns were mentally labeled as irrelevant before the day began. Modern minds suffer because everything feels important. Messages demand urgency. Opinions demand reaction. Stoicism rejects this false equality. Some things matter, most things do not. When attention is disciplined early, the mind stays clear later. This clarity is often mistaken for confidence, but it is simply the absence of unnecessary mental clutter. Internal dialogue was treated with equal seriousness. Stoics paid close attention to how they spoke to themselves. Language shapes perception, and perception shapes emotion. Each morning, they reinforced rational statements about control, impermanence, and responsibility. Not loudly, not emotionally, but consistently. These reminders anchored the mind in reason before emotion attempted to dominate. Physical readiness supported mental discipline. Stoics recognized that posture, breath, and movement influence thought. Slow movements, controlled breathing, and deliberate physical actions trained patience at a neurological level. When the body moves calmly, the mind receives the signal that there is no emergency. This subtle conditioning reduced impulsive behavior throughout the day. Expectations were also regulated carefully. Stoics did not hope for fairness, ease, or recognition. Hope placed emotional dependence on outcomes. Instead, they prepared for effort. This removed disappointment from its usual power position. When nothing is expected to be easy, difficulty loses its ability to shock or demoralize. Task engagement followed a deliberate rhythm. Rather than rushing into responsibilities, Stoics entered action gradually. Small, intentional actions built momentum without chaos. This protected the mind from overwhelm and preserved focus. Control was maintained not by force, but by pacing. Reflection reinforced all of this. Stoics often wrote or mentally reviewed their intentions. This was not journaling for emotion, but for clarity. Writing clarified thought. Thought clarified action. Over time, this habit strengthened self-awareness, making emotional patterns visible and manageable. Above all, identity came before outcomes. Stoics reminded themselves that their responsibility was not to succeed, but to act with character. Results were external. Character was internal. This shift reduced anxiety and increased consistency. When identity is stable, circumstances lose their power to destabilize the mind. Gratitude completed the process, not as sentiment, but as realism. Life provided challenges because challenges trained strength. Nothing was owed. Everything was an opportunity to practice virtue. This framing eliminated entitlement and replaced it with grounded confidence. Through these practices, mourning stopped being reactive transitions and became deliberate mental training. Emotional pressure lost its edge. Attention sharpened. Identity stabilized. The day no longer dictated the state of mind. The mind arrived prepared, disciplined, and difficult to shake. With awareness, anticipation, and disciplined attention in place, the Stoics shifted focus to action. Preparation without execution is incomplete. The mind, steady and calm, must still navigate the demands of the world. Morning practices were designed to prime decision-making, ensuring that choice emerged from reason rather than impulse. Each action was deliberate, guided by principles established before the day began. By structuring the mind, the Stoics created a mental environment where clarity dictated response rather than habit or emotion. Decision-making began with recognition of what was within control. Stoics divided events into two categories: those they could influence and those they could not. Energy spent on the uncontrollable was wasted and distracting. By consciously identifying limits, they focused effort where it was meaningful. This awareness prevented frustration and preserved mental strength. Modern distractions, messages, news, social pressures often scatter attention, but Stoic discipline sharpens it, making every choice intentional. Even mundane tasks were executed with purpose. Breakfast, hygiene, preparation for work. These were not trivial, but opportunities to practice self-command. Precision in small actions reinforced discipline in larger decisions. Each deliberate movement reminded the mind of its ability to guide behavior. This practice cultivated patience and prevented the day from dictating tempo. By controlling minor details early, Stoics maintained equilibrium in more challenging circumstances later. Intentional reflection remained crucial. Before stepping fully into the day, they assessed personal goals, priorities, and ethical standards. Reflection was brief but precise, ensuring alignment of actions with values. It was not rumination, but strategic orientation. This created consistency in behavior, reducing cognitive conflict and emotional volatility. Mental clarity becomes habitual, reducing the likelihood of reactive mistakes and reinforcing identity as a disciplined, rational individual. Stoics also practiced emotional rehearsal for interactions. Anticipating potential conflict, misunderstanding, or challenge allowed them to respond calmly rather than react impulsively. Visualization of difficult encounters provided mental preparedness, making sudden irritations less impactful. By pre-experiencing scenarios, the mind developed flexibility and composure, converting uncertainty into manageable variables. This habit transformed relationships, negotiations, and responsibilities into arenas for deliberate action rather than emotional reaction. Physical readiness remained intertwined with mental focus. Stoics engaged in deliberate movement, controlled breathing, and posture awareness to reinforce calm energy. The body, aligned with reason, supported mental poise. A disciplined body enhances attention, patience, and endurance. By training physiology alongside cognition, they created a holistic approach to mastery that prevented disconnection between thought and action. Morning reading or study often supplemented this preparation. Exposure to philosophy, ethical guidance, or practical strategy reinforced mental frameworks. Knowledge was not absorbed passively, but integrated through reflection and application. Learning in the morning prepared the mind for decisions and challenges. giving insight into principles that would guide behavior throughout the day. Continuous application of these lessons strengthened judgment and resilience over time. By the time external demands arrived, the Stoic mind had established priorities, prepared for difficulty, disciplined attention, rehearsed emotional control, and aligned actions with character. This holistic approach prevented overwhelm. It minimized distraction and maximized effectiveness. Focus became a force multiplier, and calm became habitual rather than reactive. Decisions were not rushed or impulsive, but deliberate, measured, and guided by principle. Ultimately, this approach transforms the day before it begins. Control, clarity, and composure are established in the quiet moments of morning, making the rest of the day an expression of discipline rather than chaos. Challenges are met with reason, distractions are filtered effortlessly, and identity is reinforced continuously. Action follows preparation seamlessly, producing results that are consistent with intention rather than circumstance. Through consistent practice, mornings become a foundation for mastery. The mind, body, and actions synchronize, creating a life governed by deliberate choice rather than emotional drift. Stoic morning disciplines are not rituals for appearance or habit alone. They are the architecture of a resilient, self-directed life. By embedding awareness, attention, anticipation, reflection, and disciplined action into the start of each day, the Stoics ensured that virtue, focus, and calm were not fleeting states but enduring qualities, present before the first challenge even arises. After establishing a disciplined mind and deliberate actions, the Stoics turned their focus to handling external challenges. They understood that life's events are often unpredictable, and that waiting for calm circumstances before acting is a recipe for frustration. Instead, the prepared mind meets difficulties as they come, anchored in principle and reason rather than reaction. This approach transforms obstacles into opportunities for practice, turning adversity into a training ground for virtue. The first step in managing external challenges is observation without judgment. Stoics did not immediately label events as good or bad. They noticed them objectively, allowing clarity to shape response. Emotional escalation is often fueled by labeling, assuming threat, or assigning personal meaning. By observing without judgment, the mind creates distance between stimulus and reaction, preventing impulsive decisions that lead to regret. This simple yet powerful habit strengthens composure over time. Next is strategic patience. Stoics recognized that most events do not require instant response. Acting too quickly under emotional influence often magnifies mistakes. They practiced waiting just long enough to assess, analyze, and determine the appropriate action. Patience is not passivity. It is a deliberate choice to let reason guide behavior. Applied consistently, this principle allows one to conserve energy for truly important challenges rather than dispersing it on trivial or reactive efforts. Another key principle is adaptability. Stoics accepted that circumstances cannot always conform to plans. Flexibility is not compromise, but intelligence in action. When plans shift, their focus remained on what could be done rather than what was lost. By reframing unexpected outcomes as manageable variables, they maintained composure and ensured that effort was effective. Rigidity in thought or action leads to frustration, but adaptability produces resilience. Stoics also emphasized proportionality in response. Not every problem deserves the same intensity. By calibrating reaction according to importance, they prevented overextension and emotional exhaustion. A small inconvenience should not consume the same energy as a meaningful ethical choice. This selective investment of mental effort preserves focus and creates a sense of mastery over life rather than subjection to it. Discipline in communication complemented these practices. Stoics considered speech as a reflection of inner state. Before responding to conflict or challenge, they measured words and tone. Thoughtful expression prevents escalation, reduces misinterpretation, and reinforces authority over one's emotional impulses. Controlled speech reinforces controlled thought, creating alignment between internal discipline and external behavior. Reflection was integrated continuously. Stoics observed how events unfolded, how they reacted, and what principles guided their choices. This feedback loop was not judgmental, but instructive. By analyzing responses, they honed decision-making, improved self-command, and reinforced identity. Reflection turns experience into learning, making every challenge a chance to strengthen virtue and composure. Physical presence also mattered. Calm posture, deliberate movement, and steady breathing communicate and reinforce internal stability. A disciplined body supports a disciplined mind. Stoics trained to remain composed even when surroundings were chaotic. The mind-body connection ensures that mental clarity is not disrupted by physiological stress. Energy is directed efficiently, avoiding the drain that comes from tension or impulsivity. Another cornerstone is gratitude within adversity. Stoics practiced reframing difficulties as opportunities to exercise virtue. Rather than resenting obstacles, they saw them as occasions to practice patience, courage, and self-restraint. Gratitude is not naive positivity, but a strategic lens that transforms perspective. This mindset reduces resentment, maintains focus, and reinforces the habit of measured response regardless of circumstance. Finally, identity remains the anchor. Actions and reactions are evaluated against who the Stoic aims to be, not the shifting demands of the world. External events cannot alter character unless internal principles allow it. By consistently measuring behavior against identity, the Stoic preserves integrity and emotional stability. Outcomes fluctuate, but the disciplined mind remains unshaken, capable of navigating uncertainty without losing composure or direction. Through these practices, challenges cease to control the individual. Adversity becomes predictable in its unpredictability. Mental energy is preserved, emotional reactivity is minimized, and decisions align with long-term principles rather than short-term impulses. Daily practice embeds these habits so deeply that facing difficulty is no longer threatening. It becomes an arena for deliberate, virtuous action. By the time the day progresses, the mind trained with observation, patience, adaptability, proportionality, communication discipline, reflection, physical presence, gratitude, and identity alignment operates autonomously with precision. Life may remain unpredictable, but the individual has cultivated a response system that maintains calm, focus, and effectiveness. External pressure is met with internal stability, producing results consistent with reason, not reaction. With external challenges met through disciplined preparation, attention, and composure, the focus naturally moves to decision-making under pressure. Stoics understood that life constantly presents choices, and not all of them are equal. A mind trained in the morning disciplines navigates these decisions with clarity, selecting actions that align with virtue rather than impulse. The key is deliberate evaluation, assessing what is within control, predicting consequences, and responding in alignment with principles. Hasty or reactive decisions weaken character. Deliberate choices reinforce it. Decision-making begins with a calm pause. The Stoics cultivated the habit of creating a mental space between stimulus and reaction. Even a brief moment to observe internal responses allows reason to guide action rather than emotion. In this pause, they ask themselves, what is within my control? What is outside it? Energy invested outside the circle of influence is wasted, while energy directed within becomes effective and empowering. This awareness preserves mental energy and strengthens self-governance. Prioritization follows naturally. Stoics recognize that not every choice carries equal weight. Attention and effort must be proportional to importance. Small inconveniences do not require the same mental energy as meaningful ethical or strategic decisions. By calibrating responses, the mind avoids unnecessary strain and preserves clarity for truly significant challenges. Over time, this practice creates consistency in judgment and prevents reactive patterns from dominating behavior. Deliberate alignment with identity remains central. Each decision is evaluated against the kind of person one aims to become, not temporary outcomes or external approval. Actions taken in accordance with character, even if they lead to immediate discomfort, strengthen self-respect and long-term resilience. Decisions guided by identity reduce regret, minimize distraction, and reinforce emotional stability, producing results that reflect virtue rather than expedience. Stoics also emphasized emotional mastery within decision-making. Anticipating potential irritation, impatience, or fear allows the mind to respond calmly when these emotions arise. Visualization of challenging scenarios was a daily exercise, not to avoid difficulties, but to practice composure and measured responses. By mentally rehearsing reactions, the mind becomes resilient, able to navigate uncertainty without destabilization. This prevents emotional hijacking and supports disciplined action even under stress. Communication remains a reflection of internal state. Words chosen carefully, delivered calmly, and aligned with principles reinforce clarity and authority. Stoics understood that uncontrolled speech often magnifies conflicts and spreads chaos. Deliberate communication ensures that intentions are clearly expressed, reducing misunderstanding and maintaining internal balance. This habit strengthens relationships, leadership, and influence without sacrificing composure or integrity. Reflection continues to play a key role. After action, Stoics evaluated outcomes, not with self-criticism, but with analytical precision. They asked, did my choice align with my principles? Was my reaction measured? What can I learn for future decisions? This continuous feedback loop reinforces growth, sharpens judgment, and strengthens emotional resilience. Reflection is the bridge between theory and practical mastery. Patience remains intertwined with all choices. The Stoics understood that time is an ally when used wisely. Immediate gratification or rapid action often undermines reasoned outcomes. By pacing decisions and actions, they maintained focus, minimized error, and optimized effectiveness. Patience combined with discipline turns even complex challenges into manageable sequences of deliberate steps. Physical presence also supports mental decision-making. Steady posture, controlled breathing, and deliberate movement reinforce calm energy, improving focus under pressure. The body signals the mind that urgency is measured, preventing physiological stress from triggering reactive behavior. By harmonizing mental and physical states, the Stoics created a unified system of control and awareness. Finally, gratitude and perspective frame decision-making. Recognizing opportunities to exercise virtue, even in difficulty, transforms choices from burdens into purposeful actions. Gratitude does not soften responsibility, it clarifies intention. Challenges become tools for growth rather than sources of resentment. This mindset strengthens motivation, maintains focus, and ensures decisions reflect reasoned priorities rather than fleeting emotion. Through consistent application of these practices, the mind navigates life with precision. Awareness, calm, identity alignment, emotional rehearsal, proportional attention, deliberate communication, reflection, patience, and gratitude create a decision-making system resistant to chaos. The individual remains grounded, capable of handling stress, and aligned with enduring principles. Daily practice embeds these habits so deeply that decision-making becomes instinctive in its alignment with reason, not reaction. With disciplined decisions and emotional control established, the mind is now ready to cultivate resilience. Stoics understood that life's trials are constant and that mental strength is tested more often than physical strength. Resilience is not born in comfort. It is forged through deliberate practice in adversity. By facing challenges intentionally, the mind learns to endure without complaint, to act without hesitation, and to maintain clarity under pressure. Daily routines of reflection, anticipation, and controlled action prepare the mind to withstand these inevitable tests. One essential practice is recognizing impermanence. Stoics trained themselves to remember that all circumstances, pleasant or painful, are temporary. Success, failure, loss, and gain are transient by nature. Internalizing this truth reduces attachment to outcomes and softens the emotional impact of setbacks. When a challenge arises, it is approached as a passing event rather than a permanent threat. This mindset preserves mental energy and fosters calm judgment. Self-reliance is central to resilience. Stoics emphasized dependence on internal resources rather than external validation. Happiness and stability are not granted by favorable conditions or others' opinions. They are cultivated through virtue, discipline, and reason. By strengthening internal capacities, the mind becomes less vulnerable to fluctuation, able to maintain equanimity even when external circumstances are adverse. This autonomy reinforces confidence and allows deliberate action without distraction. Deliberate exposure to discomfort further strengthens resilience. Stoics intentionally faced mild challenges, controlling hunger, physical exertion, or cold, training both mind and body to endure. This practice was not masochism, it was preparation. By voluntarily embracing small hardships, they reduced fear and avoidance, creating readiness for larger obstacles. Modern equivalents include exercise, fasting, cold exposure, or intentional restraint in desire. Each act reinforces self-command and teaches endurance. Another pillar is acceptance of unpredictability. Stoics distinguished between what can be influenced and what cannot. Obstacles beyond control are not resisted emotionally. Instead, they are approached with flexibility and composure. This distinction prevents wasted energy and frustration. The mind focuses on actionable elements while remaining detached from uncontrollable outcomes. Over time, this produces stability, as external events no longer dictate internal state. Patience complements resilience. Immediate results are rarely guaranteed, and waiting often tests endurance. Stoics train to act persistently without impatience, understanding that consistent effort produces results beyond immediate perception. Impulsivity undermines progress, while patient discipline reinforces capability. By cultivating temporal awareness and delaying gratification, the mind remains focused on long-term goals rather than fleeting desires or frustrations. Emotional rehearsal continues to reinforce preparedness. Anticipating potential conflicts, stressors, or provocations allows for measured responses. Visualizing difficulties in advance builds a mental framework to respond with calm and clarity. Emotional rehearsal is not avoidance, but training. It converts uncertainty into manageable variables and reduces the likelihood of being overwhelmed when real challenges occur. Stoics also integrated reflection to reinforce resilience. After encountering adversity, they examined responses objectively. Was the reaction measured? Did it reflect principle? What lessons could be extracted for future trials? This analysis was not self-punishment, but precise observation. Reflection strengthens judgment, reinforces self-command, and converts experience into lasting wisdom. Through repeated practice, the mind internalizes effective strategies for enduring and overcoming obstacles. Physical preparedness remains intertwined. Strength, posture, and controlled breathing support the mind's capacity to remain composed. The body signals resilience to the brain, and deliberate physical conditioning prevents physiological stress from undermining mental control. Energy is preserved, focus is sharpened, and the mind remains agile under pressure. Discipline in action and movement reinforces discipline in thought. Gratitude is reframed in adversity. Challenges are seen as opportunities to exercise virtue, not as injustices. Difficulty becomes a teacher, instructing patience, courage, and self-restraint. This perspective transforms potential frustration into constructive engagement. By acknowledging obstacles as natural instruments of growth, the mind remains calm, focused, and motivated, turning trials into stepping stones for mastery. Finally, identity anchors resilience. Stoics measured behavior against principles and character, not external circumstances. Who you are governs how you respond more than what happens around you. By consistently acting in alignment with identity, the mind maintains stability, even under extreme pressure. External events fluctuate, yet internal authority remains constant. This combination of preparation, reflection, self-reliance, and principle creates a durable resilience capable of withstanding life's unpredictability. Through these disciplined practices, the mind becomes resistant to chaos, capable of endurance, and able to act with clarity under pressure. Emotional reactions are moderated, attention remains focused, and actions align with long-term principles. Adversity no longer threatens mental stability, it reinforces it. Resilience becomes habitual, embedded in routine, and expressed through deliberate, measured, and principled action. With resilience established, The final focus is on integrating all practices into long-term mastery. Stoics understood that the mind's power is cumulative. Habits formed consistently shape character, perception, and response. A disciplined morning, emotional preparedness, deliberate decision-making, and resilience in adversity converge to create a life guided by reason and principle rather than impulse or circumstance. Mastery is not a single achievement, but the ongoing practice of self-command in every situation. Long-term mastery begins with reflection on values. Stoics consistently reminded themselves what was most important: virtue, reason, and integrity. Every decision, action, and reaction was measured against these benchmarks. By internalizing values, behavior aligns with identity, producing consistency across time and circumstance. Without this internal compass, even disciplined routines become mechanical and fail to cultivate genuine strength. Awareness continues to underpin mastery. The mind must remain vigilant, observing thoughts, emotions, and impulses without being overtaken. Awareness allows early intervention when destructive patterns emerge. It is the tool that connects preparation to action, ensuring that intention guides behavior rather than habit or reaction. Consistent awareness over months and years transforms mental discipline into automatic composure. Emotional equilibrium remains central. Stoics trained the mind to remain calm amidst uncertainty, avoiding extremes of elation or despair. Long-term mastery is sustained by this balance. Emotions are experienced fully, but not allowed to dominate reasoning. By separating perception from judgment, the Stoic ensures that mental clarity endures even when challenges are relentless or unexpected. Decision-making evolves with experience. As understanding deepens, the mind learns to recognize patterns, anticipate outcomes, and prioritize effectively. Choices are no longer reactive or scattered, but intentional, measured, and aligned with principle. Over time, this creates a compounding effect. Each correct decision reinforces clarity and strengthens future judgment. Mastery grows not from perfect action, but from consistent, deliberate practice. Self-reliance is reinforced continuously. Dependence on external validation, comfort, or approval diminishes as internal capacities are strengthened. The Stoic becomes a self-contained source of stability, capable of acting without distraction or hesitation. This autonomy allows focus on meaningful endeavors, while trivial challenges are filtered naturally, preserving energy for what truly matters. Physical and mental integration is maintained. The body continues to support the mind through deliberate posture, controlled breath, and attentive movement. Mental clarity is amplified by physical discipline. Exercise, moderation, and intentional action reinforce the connection between cognition and physiology, ensuring that mental strength is reflected in practical endurance and composure. Gratitude and perspective shape perception. Life is reframed as a continuous series of exercises, each designed to cultivate virtue, patience, and resilience. Challenges are not grievances, but tools for growth. By maintaining this perspective, the mind reduces emotional turbulence, enhances motivation, and sustains focus. Gratitude in practice ensures that adversity contributes to progress rather than distraction or despair. Reflection remains essential. The Stoic evaluates each day for lessons learned, assessing choices, reactions, and outcomes. Reflection transforms experience into wisdom, preventing repetition of mistakes and reinforcing effective strategies. Over time, reflection becomes a natural habit, seamlessly integrated into daily routines. The mind evolves from reactive to proactive, continually refining judgment and character. Finally, identity anchors long-term mastery. Who you are governs how you act more than any external condition. Principles, values, and character become the measure of every action. By consistently acting in alignment with identity, the mind maintains stability regardless of success, failure, recognition, or opposition. External events may fluctuate, but internal authority remains constant, producing a life of deliberate action, calm focus, and enduring virtue. Through persistent application of these disciplines, the Stoic mind achieves something remarkable: independence from chaos, clarity in uncertainty, and strength that is both steady and flexible. Daily routines of awareness, preparation, deliberate action, emotional rehearsal, resilience, and reflection transform behavior into instinctive composure. Over time, this creates mastery not through external achievement, but through internal sovereignty, where life is navigated with intention, virtue, and unshakable focus. Challenges are met without panic, opportunities are seized with clarity, and the mind remains calm in the face of unpredictability. Long-term mastery is not static. It requires maintenance, reflection, and repetition. The Stoic practices each day, integrating lessons, reinforcing principles, and refining judgment. The cumulative effect produces a life aligned with reason, guided by virtue, and resilient to misfortune. The result is a mind and character that are truly unshakable, steady, deliberate, and powerful, capable of navigating the complexity of life with composure and purpose.